I am Shravani Shagun. I am from India. I am a Ph.D. candidate and writing my doctoral thesis in space law at National Law University, Delhi. And I am currently serving as National Point of Contact India at a Space Generation Advisory Council. And the topic that I am going to talk about in this video is on the state practice in the international space law and focusing on India's role compared to other spacefaring nations. And starting with the introduction, state practice includes the action that a state consistently follow because they believe they are legally required to do so. And it is a form of international law that arises from consistent state behavior, which is referred as opinio juris, and I'm sure the other speakers must have discussed about that state practice, opinio juris, customary law, and norms that how it is formed. So I would rather skip that part and talk about the focus of my presentation, which is on India's contribution to development of international space law, rather an attempt to the development of international space law, and further the comparison that I am trying to make with other spacefaring nations like United Nations, Russia, and China. And so starting with the role of state practice, why it is important and how it is important in any way. So the thing is that the outer space treaty, which is the foundation, or we can say the cornerstone of international space law, that exist but are not exhaustive. So in such cases, the void that is there, state practice helps shape evolving norms, particularly the current norms talks about is about the resource extraction, environmental sustainability, and responsibility for private actors. And so these are some of the main focus of that is emerging when it comes to customary space law and emerging norms. So, and also about space debris management. And if I talk about the India's contribution to space law, rather to space activities, and in the space race, there are many, but I would focus only on three of them. That is about the Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, that is Mars orbiter mission of 2013, and Gaganyaan. So Chandrayaan, being the Chandrayaan 1 discovered water on the moon, and Chandrayaan 3, that happened in last year 2023, and which achieved a successful soft landing on the south pole of moon, and being the first country to do so. Further, India became the first Asian country to reach Mars orbit on its first attempt, and by the end of 2024, India is planning to send a crew space mission aimed sending astronaut in space. So these are some of the major contribution, I would say, of India. And further, India also play very important role in UN corpus advocating for peaceful and responsible use of outer space, because the history of India reflect that it has always focused on the peaceful use of outer space, and with the emphasizing on emphasis on sustainability and space debris management. Further, it always India has a history of collaboration with global power like US, Russia, France, and other international space organizations. For example, there is a ISRO NASA partnership, which reflect that India is committed to multilateralism, and which influence the customary space law through joint mission and technological exchanges. Further, including India, there is Brazil and UAE also, which is also playing a crucial role in shaping the future of international space law. However, with the India's Indian space policy of 2023, solidify India's position in state practice by setting guidelines for private sector participation in space, and also ensuring environmental sustainability and fostering accountability in outer space operations. So, although you would see when you go through the Indian Space Policy of 2023, there is no clear mention of the term environmental sustainability, but it says that it is committed to it is in accordance with the provisions of Outer Space Treaty and the history of outer space activities by India is that it pays attention to the environmental sustainability. And by formalizing its space activities and regulating private actors, India is contributing to the evolving body of customary space law further, and which also emphasize inclusive governance and responsible exploration of space resources. Now, talking about the approach of different spacefaring nation, which is quite clear when it comes to have taken just three other important nations, rather spacefaring nations, US, Russia, and China. So it is very clear that which country focuses on what. US prioritizes commercial space activities undoubtedly, and also ownership of space resources by private countries. Russia emphasis on militarization and national security. For example, the anti-satellite weapons that is there, and if you could also recall ASAT weapon test that has been done in the history of outer space activities. And China's focus is again very clear that rapid expansion and lunar exploration. We have one Artemis Accord, we have another ILR, so that says a lot why and for what a country is focusing. And also there is Luxembourg, which has a legislation which again somehow, if not clearly, but prioritizes the resource exploitation. In contrast to these countries, India's state practice emphasizes on peaceful exploration, environmental responsibility, and inclusive governance. Further, the India's sustainable space exploration is reflected through environmental sustainability and peaceful use of space. However, there are certain challenges. Talking about the challenges, there are many, but focusing on three most important, that diplomatic negotiations. So it is very difficult for emerging nations to influence the global legal framework, and also to balance their ambition with adherence to international obligation. Further, it is also very important to collaborate with the established powers. And however, there are certain opportunities also. Most important of all is the cooperative ventures that also boost the economic growth in the countries, and certain innovative legal solution, and also technological growth advancement in the countries. And it also advocates for the inclusive space diplomacy, including developing countries. Further, talking about the influence of India on the customary international law is importantly the peaceful use of outer space and the sustainable practices and the international cooperation. And the one very unique about India has been that the activities are very, or the activities that takes place, the missions are very cost effective, and which is very important also for the country like India and other developing nations. Like any other emerging space nation, India has also certain challenges. For example, India do not still have a comprehensive domestic space legislation. We do have a policy, but we do not have a space legislation. And then competition from the aggressive, uh, no offense meant by using the word aggressive, but there are aggressive space faring nations, so that is a challenge. So if you see the history of 2019 ASAT weapon test done by India, Mission Shakti, as it is referred, the the purpose behind that was somehow was more than how it looked like. It was just not anti-satellite weapon test, but if a country within the vicinity of thousands of kilometers do that, India has to prepare itself also for such kind of such kind of anticipate such kind of war or maybe any threat. So there are certain that is difficult to match the level of the such aggressive spacefaring nations. And also there are opportunities, obviously. For example, leadership in UN and multilateral initiative. India could be one of the spacefaring nation and developing nations, and coming from the global south to ratify moon agreement. That could be one of the opportunity. And promoting on promoting environmental protection. I like to conclude with saying that India's state practice reflects a balance between scientific exploration, sustainability, and adherence to international law. And thank you so much for giving me opportunity to talk about India on such platform, though not physically, but virtually. Have a great day there. And Budapest is the most beautiful city that I saw in Europe. So I wish sometime I come in person to talk about it. Thank you so much.